Alright guys, so I'm back here with the S.U.B series bass, and it's raining outside today like crazy, so it's just a lovely day to be able to be inside and continue working on some nice instruments. So we're going to crack on with this bass right here, and right now, as you know, in the two previous videos we started by adjusting the truss rod, getting it to where we have the right amount of relief. And in part 2 we basically went in and adjusted the bridge saddles, matching the strings to the radius, and we got our preferred string action set. So right now I basically want to go in and take a look at the pickup and get that basically adjusted to where we need it to be. And in order for this pickup to function its best and produce the amount of output that we need it to, then we have to take a look at it and see what it's measuring. And basically, when you go to measure these pickups, we need a couple of small tools. So let's just take a look at the tools, guys. Okay, so here are the small tools that we basically need for this. You can use either of the two here. I always use feeler gauges for measuring how high the pickups are adjusted. But you can also use this regular string action gauge here and place it the same way as we did when we measured the string action. I just find that stacking feeler gauges together is just it's easier, because you can slide them in under there between the top of the pole piece and the bottom of the string, and basically quite quickly see where you need to get the pickup and when you have it on the spot that you need it. So of course we're also going to need a screwdriver, basically fitting the screws in the pickup to adjust it, and it's usually a Phillips head screwdriver. So just make sure that you match the screwdriver so that you don't end up stripping the screws out. And basically from there it should all be quite easy to adjust the pickups. So I'm just going to reposition the camera, guys, so you can get a better view on basically what I'm doing when I go to set up the pickups here. So stay tuned. Okay guys, so here we are. Now we're ready to adjust the pickups, and I'm going to get the feeler gauges and the basic feeler gauges that you would need. We're starting on the low E string here, and we need the measurement to be 2.8 millimeters. So I have my feeler gauges over here, as I showed you before, and they add up to about 2.8. So I have 4 feeler gauges here and they match up. So that's basically what we will need there. And the way we're going to do this is that we're going to depress the low E at the very last fret here. And having done that up here, I'm going to slide in the feeler gauges to the pole pieces here and basically see where we're at. And right now I can see that this pickup right here is miles off. As you can see here, I can bring the feeler gauges up and down. So I would basically have to take out my screwdriver and find one that matches the screws. This one right here should be good. And from there we should be able to adjust the pickups right up. And so I'm going to take the screwdriver here and I'm basically going to raise the pickup up, if we can do that. Have to see how far in the screws are. right now we can see the pickup starting to lift up here. We're just going to, you know, adjust them till we get somewhere in the ballpark of where we need them. And we might have to adjust the pickup on the other side here in order to just, you know, raise it up somewhat. And from there we're going to once again take the feeler gauges, depress at the last fret here, and insert the feeler gauges to see where we're at. And right now we have to bring it down a little again here. So, you know, sometimes you can go a little too high, and you will just have to, you know, basically take that into consideration. And then we'll go back and check it again, pressing down at the last fret. Okay, so the downward pull piece here are getting there, but we have to adjust this one down a little bit. So we should basically be able to get them right on the money. And I would say that we're getting quite close now. Yeah, I would say that we're probably there. You can always, you know, get them set to where you think they would need to be, and from there you can always, you know, go in and tweak them a little further when you plug your bass into your amp and listen for, you know, how it plays and what the sound is like. So right now I would probably leave this here, depending on if I can get a little more out of this. Right now this screw is basically just coming up, and sometimes, you know, depending on the length of the screw and, you know, the tightness of the spring down there, you can run into these kinds of things. But you can always, you know, find a matching screw that maybe, you know, is a little longer, and from there you can always add in a stiffer spring, so no problem. But I believe that we are where we need to be. Yeah, we're going to leave it there and see how it sounds later on, and we can always adjust it. Now I want to, you know, move over to the G string here and do the same thing. But as we did here on the low E, this was going to be 2.8. Over here at the G string we need 2.0 millimeters. So I'm just going to remove one of the feeler gauges, and right now I basically have 2 millimeters straight out here on the feeler gauges. So we do the same thing over here, press down at the very last fret and insert the feeler gauge. And this pickup has to come down a little because, you know, I can basically move the string, I can't get under it right now. So I'd have to take it down just a notch in order to see where we're at. And we press down at the last fret again, we insert the feeler gauges, and we basically, you know, we check that we're not lifting the string, but that the feeler gauges are just sliding under. And they are basically good now. If you want, you can go back and recheck the low E side here, because you've raised or lowered that side a little bit. So we're just going to do that to check. And now we can actually take this one up a little bit. So I'm just going to do that, just, you know, balancing everything out a little back and forth in order to get the things where we need them. And this looks good. So I don't see any problems. Just going to recheck over here. Yeah, everything is just fine and everything is where we need them to be. So now we have adjusted the pickup and it sits just, you know, just like it should. So that's one great thing. Right now we're going to move over and we're going to take a look at the, you know, the electronics cavity over here and basically check that the knobs are turning, everything's right, and we're going to take it out and basically give it a little bit of you know, contact cleaner and turn the knobs to make sure that we don't have any corrosion or anything like that. So I'll just get started with that, guys, and bring you in. Okay guys, we've just adjusted the pickup height down here. Now we're going to take a look at the electronic cavity. And basically, you know, I have had this bass plugged in and I've also tuned it using my Polytune, so I know that all of the knobs are working and I don't hear any scratching or noise coming from the pots. But you basically want to, you know, dive into the electronics cavity and take a look at what you have down there and see, in all matters, just to clean it up, you know. And it's always a good idea to give it any form of, you know, contact cleaner or any electronics spray, you know, designed for cleaning up electrical parts. So this is basically what we will be doing, and there are a couple of things that you will need for this. So let me just find those and we'll take a look at those, guys. Okay, so here are the basic tools that we're going to need. We are going to need our Phillips head screwdriver matching the screws on, you know, holding the pickup cavity or electronics cavity in. And we're going to need some form of wrench, either adjustable or exactly fitting the input washer or nut, in order to, you know, make sure that it's tightened and it's not moving, causing any of the electronics to be twisted around and breaking wires or anything like that. And, you know, the last thing would be some form of contact cleaner, you know, electronics cleaner that you can, you know, gently spray the pots with and anything like that. And, you know, it would be nice for something that has a little tip like this that you can attach, have it sticking out so you can have easy access to the small, you know, on the pots itself they have some small, you know, holes or marks that you can fit any type of, you know, small tube like this in, and make sure that you get the cleaner in there. But we're going to take a look at this over on the base. So let me just reposition, guys, and we will just take a look at it. So see you soon. Right, guys, so the screws are just, I've taken them off and put them aside so I know where they are, right over here. Right now we're just going to lift up the, you know, the plate here, and we're just gently going to place it so we can see what's going on here. And as you can see here, we have quite a lot of things going on, but we basically, you know, we want to take a look at the pots. Are there any corrosions, any, you know, corroded spots on some of the solder joints and for the input jacks, and basically anything like that. And it all looks good as to what I can see, and I have no loose connections from what I've heard when I played it. So we're basically just going to apply some contact cleaner, and as I said, the pots have some small, you know, holes or places you can fit the tube from the contact cleaner, and it's basically the one right there. There's a small hole right there, and you can get the small tube to access, and you can spray a little bit of contact cleaner in there, and we're going to do that. And while we're doing it, we're going to spray it, and we're going to make sure that we turn the knob of the pot in order to get the cleaner all over the inside of the pot. So I'll just take you out a little bit here, and I'm going to take the contact cleaner, and I'm just going to shake it in order to get it to where we need it. And I'm going to insert the tube right there, and then we can basically get in and spray gently. Just a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. And as I said, we're just going to rotate the knobs here in order to get the contact cleaner spread out of the inside of the pot. And we just, I just have to access on the other side of the pot here in order to get into where it has its hole. So I just have to push some of the wires out a little bit and make sure that we're not going to spray anything else. Just like that. And we're going to basically just turn it again, like we did before, in order to spread it all out. So this is just a way of keeping your electronics clean, and you won't have any short out, or you won't have your electronics just cutting out. So this should do it. And yeah, basically right now we can take it and we can put it gently back in here, make sure that everything is where it needs to be without forcing any wires to get cut off. But we might also just want to take a quick look at the the input jack down here, make sure that it's tightened. So we'll just take it up here again, and it's important that when you tighten the nut down here, that you just always take off the cover here, so you can basically hold the other side here in order to not turn the wires and make them twist and break off. So that's the main reason why I always take off the control plate, and being able to hold here on the back side is just going to allow me to make sure that I'm not twisting anything. So I can basically go in and adjust and just tighten it without damaging anything, because if the nut here gets really loose and you're just going to turn it, you're basically turning the inside here as well, and you can end up twisting the wires so that they can break, and we do not want to do that, because then we have to resolder everything, and that would be a little bit of a pain. So right now we're basically ready to mount the screws again, and everything is just as it needs to be. So that pretty much covers this part, guys.